Hi, everybody. Ever New with Kris M. Smith, Hannah McCrane, and guests is about living out loud, forging lasting connections, and visiting with effervescent thinkers and dreamers. It's an uplifting hour that promises to leave everyone feeling better. So, who's up for some fun? Welcome. Let's get this party started. Today, we have a very, very special guest. He is in Germany. He is Thorsten Walsh, and he is the translator. Yes. He is the translator of my book, DeForest Kelley, Up Close and Personal, A Harvest of Memories from the Fan Who Knew Him Best. This is a reveal. I get to show you the book cover and everything today. Hi, Thorsten.
Hi, Kris.
And
Hi, Hannah.
How are you doing? Here's the book cover. Whoopsie, guess what? I put it in the wrong spot. No, I didn't. That's where I'll put it. I'll make it big now. Okay, here we go. It's right. Where did I put it? Okay, I guess I have to upload it again. Okay, I had it here, but
It is still there.
This is why we go live.
On the right.
Okay, there we go. And there. Now we can show it big. I just clicked on the logo one. This is the book, and you want to translate the new title?
The title is Ganz nah und persönlich. The full title, just a second, I have to read it myself because it's quite long title.
It's a mouthful.
It is. I need my glasses for that. Here we go. It's so small, I can barely see it.
It's up close and personal.
DeForest Kelley, ganz nah und persönlich, Erinnerungen an den Darsteller des Dr. McCoy aus Star Trek vom Fan, der ihn am besten kannte.
Yeah, they got the name Star Trek into the subtitle this time to let to remind German folks of who DeForest Kelley is. So
I got to explain that he's very famous in Germany. Just the other day, I told somebody I never met somebody in Germany, Star Trek fan or not, who didn't know him.
Wow.
When you talk about DeForest Kelley, some people say, I never heard about him. But when you mention he's Dr. McCoy from Star Trek, everybody knows who he is. And that's the reason why we decided on bringing Star Trek into the German title.
Okay. Tell a little bit how you contacted me after reading the original, and tell that story.
Tell that story. It's a long story. I try to keep it short. Okay. I've been a lifelong fan of DeForest Kelley. I became a fan of him when Star Trek first aired on German television in spring of 1972. I was 4 years old then, but I was fascinated by Dr. McCoy from the very first moment on. And so I became a fan, and all over the years. And when he died in 1999, I was smashed. I was down and out, and it took me quite a while to get over it so far. And then one day I found on Amazon, the online warehouse, your book, Harvest of Memories. And I ordered the book, I read it, and I had the idea of contacting you. And somehow I found out your email address. I don't know how I did it back then. I don't remember. Somehow I got your email address and I wrote to you, and we got in contact and we wrote to each other. And at one point, I'm a writer. I wrote several books published here in Germany. I wrote a book about Star Wars, the other galaxy. entitled "Es lebe Star Wars, Long Live Star Wars." It is published at In Farbe und Bunt, the editor who brought out the book about the forest. And but I hadn't written these books then in the early 2000s. But we came up with the idea that I translate the book to bring out a German edition. And we already had a editor at that time, but it didn't work out. And that happened 2 times more after that. And it took over 20 years to find an editor, Björn Sülter, in Farbe und Bunt, to publish the German version. Unfortunately, I had translated the old version of the book. And when it came up to the German edition, I had to translate the new edition, who is similar in many many places, but not in all of them. And so I had to translate it from the beginning on new. But as I already said, it's in my opinion, it's better than the old version.
Well, thank you. What I did is I took out an awful lot of the end days of Dee's passing, because the first time it came in, it was shortly after he passed away. And I wanted fans to know how that worked out, so they would, people who weren't with him at his bedside worried that he suffered horribly and stuff with cancer. And I wanted to give enough of the story to let him know, no, he did not suffer. He was well cared for. He was still very humorous. He was still Dee. He was spoiled rotten as best, nurses and we could spoil him rotten while he was in the hospital. But there was so much of that in the first version. I thought, okay, 15 years later, or the 20th anniversary, I didn't want all of that there, because I had taken out so many of the really funny other additional stories just to make the book big enough where you could lift it back then. So I took out an awful lot of the end days, and I inserted appropriately in the right areas where other things had happened that didn't get in the first version. And those were the ones that you had to go back in. It was some 55 plus additional pages of funny stuff that happened, or poignant stuff, or whatever, that I thought should be in that book. And I'm glad to hear that you say that you believe it's a better book than the original one.
Yeah, I do think so. There's one thing I'm sorry about, and that's the story is missing about the yellow balloon.
Yes. And I noticed that, and it was in the original one. And so on my website, I actually have the story of the yellow balloon. And what I'll do is I'll give you the link to that, so you can go and read the yellow balloon story.
And all of you should. It's a wonderful story. It's a really, really wonderful story.
On the back of the original book, there was a picture. I had the publisher put a yellow balloon because it's symbolic. It's very symbolic. He had he had written a poem called The Yellow Balloon. And I asked for a sign or a symbol or something just to let me know that Dee was okay. And I mean, over the course of the next months, I mean, my gosh. And they had to be free floating. They couldn't just be tied down, because that's cheating. They had to be doing something that yellow balloons don't do. And these yellow balloons were doing things that yellow balloons don't generally do. And I was like, all righty there. Only an Enterprise flyby would have convinced me more that he hadn't been able to send me messages to let me know he was okay.
It was some kind of DeForest Kelly's version of the UFO phenomenon.
Yes, it absolutely was. So that's there. And for those of you who we got 6 comments. I guess I ought to get in here and look at some comments. If you are viewing from the from the Twitch thing, you can send comments. Please do. We will answer your questions. If you are visiting from Germany and you don't speak English, how would they say? Thorsten, let people know if they don't speak English that they can send the questions in German and you'll translate them.
I just read the comment Hannah has written, who drew the picture on the book.
Yes.
It's a famous a German painter named Stefanie Kurt. I know her in person. She does lots of artworks for the editor for In Farbe und Bunt.
Uh-huh.
And I'm when I saw that drawing first, I was so touched, and I'm still today if I see it. I'm so looking forward for the book in physics to look at the painting all the time. I love it. It's great.
I do too.
Stephanie Kurt. If she's
Very
listening
good.
this evening, which I can't imagine because she has family, and families has to do all kinds of business at that time. Uh,
Right.
but if she's listening, I want to say hi, Stephanie. Great work. Ganz toll gemacht. I love it.
And you know, an interesting thing about this is that the original version, which looks like this, that was a German artist who did that one too.
Oh yes, I know. It was Olivia
Olivia Buick.
Fiebig.
Yes, yes.
I do not know her in person, but I know two books she has written together with her. I believe it's her father about philosophy on Star Trek, and the first one is I just forgot. I just forgot the.
You can look her up though online. Is she at Amazon?
Yeah, they are. They are. They made two books. One about the philosophy of Star Trek, and I don't recall the title of the first one.
Okay.
But anyhow, I know Olivia Fiebig by hearing. As I said, I haven't met her, not that I knew of, but I know her.
Her last name is spelled Vieweg, Olivia Buick. If you want to look her up online and look at for her books. One of the reasons I'm extremely glad that this has come out.
Wozu braucht Gott ein Raumschiff? That's the title of the first book. What does God need a starship?
Okay.
That's the title of the first book. Now it came back to me. I'm old.
Okay. One of the reasons I'm extremely glad it's come out in a German version is because all of my grandparents on both sides of the family came from Germany. Well, at least two of them came from the Kassel area, which is not far from where Thorsten grew up. And also there was an oral history that I'm related to the Brothers Grimm. So, and it's been verified, but my mom didn't believe it at first until I came along, and I became this. As soon as somebody taught me to string words together, I became a storyteller. And she said birds and butterflies used to land on you when you were little. And one of the, I think it was the Brothers Grimm mother was such an animal lover that, wildlife and stuff weren't afraid of her, and they considered her kind of a white witch because she was such a familiar with animals. And so Mom said, I really just took it as an oral history that was, nice to think about, but I didn't really think that much about it until you came along, and it was like reincarnation. There's this little girl that tells stories, and all of the animals on the planet seem to know her, and I can talk to the animals and they can talk to me, So, yeah. So it feels to me like a homecoming, even though I've never been to Germany. My sister was there. She worked as a secretary for the Air Force at one point, and she went back to Kassel and she tried to look up records. But during the war, the building that records were stored in was destroyed. She wasn't able to connect with any of the cousins or any of the people who lived back there at the time. But you know what's interesting? I do have actual photos of my grandfather and my grandmother from that time. And I'm going to see if I can. Here it is. Here's my great grandfather. His last name was Stelzner. And my great grandmother. And these pictures were taken in Germany back in the 1800s. So, and my mom's maiden name was Lichty, Laichty. So I look at them and I think, I wish, I would sometimes give my left arm to have diaries or whatever. I mean, what caused them to leave Germany? You don't just pick up from your country and everything you've ever known and, take out just for the fun of it. There had to be a reason. And Mom said she always wished, she wondered why she hadn't asked them. She said, when you're a kid, you don't even think about stuff like that. It's when it's too late you start to thinking about it.
Germany was a very, very poor country in the end of the 19th century. And the industry grew on the one hand, and on the other hand, people lost their jobs. People didn't have anything to eat. People working as farmers lost all of their ground because of bad weathers and stuff like that. And America seemed like another planet to them. It seemed like another planet to them. They were promised it's the land of everything. Everything you miss here, you can have there. And that's the reason why so many people from Germany went to America in that time.
And Ireland too, after the potato famine.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad in Germany. I don't believe so. In Ireland, people starved to death. It may have happened in Germany as well, but I think Ireland, the terms in Ireland were harder then. That's what I think. I'm not a historian.
Right. Well, my grandparents did emigrate from the time between 1890 and 1908. Yeah. And my grandmother, I know, came in through Ellis Island. My mom told me that. And she was like 8 years old when she came. So she was born in like 1898 or thereabouts. So, I would love to know more, and there's no way to know more. Even my mom has gone and she didn't ask questions much, but it's kind of sad, I mean, you always say you kind of want to live forever. And I don't even know who my great grandparents were other than their photos. And I look at them and I go, who are you? Who are you?
I don't even know back about my great grandparents. I know about my grandparents. From my father's side, the grandparents came from Italy, from North Italy, and from my mother's side, they came from Alsace. That's the only thing I know. I'm not as far as you. With my family.
I know one thing about me that a doctor told me. I have Dupuytren's contracture, which usually only happens to men, where I get this, my fingers are like curling in like this because of this big cord. I've had surgery on it a couple times. But he said, first of all, men, you almost always are the only people who get these. And anybody who's get it has Viking blood in them, Norse Viking blood. And I know a lot of Germans have Norse Viking blood, like 30% or something like that. And the red hair might be a dead giveaway too. I always thought I was kind of Irish until they told me that, and I guess I'm Viking. I mean, Viking and Hessian and everything else, up in that neck of the woods where all that was going on. Yeah.
I'm proud Irish.
Are you proud Irish? Yeah.
I am. And you're also
some German, right?
A little bit. Yeah, I think like 25%.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty amazing. What else? What were we going to talk about? Does anybody?
And you're just one question. You are part Cherokee.
I heard I am part Cherokee, and I've actually seen a picture of a relative of mine sitting outside of a teepee that my cousin Marie gave me or sent me, and I don't know who that is. But interestingly enough, Dee was part Cherokee too. And it was so funny because when I met him, it was almost like, deja vu. I know this guy. I'm so comfortable with this person, it was really familial. And at one point I joked, I said, oh my gosh, maybe we're related, back in I said it wasn't really common for Indians and white people to get together, apparently it was for the Cherokees, because they did try to assimilate. They were still shuttled off into reservations despite doing that, but they did try to assimilate. They were one of the earliest nations to try to assimilate and live peaceably with European settlers, but we were still tacky to them.
Yeah, I remembered the parts of the book that told about it, about and these Cherokee connections.
Right. So, and he was in Georgia, and that's where the Cherokees came from. So that makes total sense. And I only have anecdotally that I'm related, but I had a picture. So that's all I know. I don't know anything else about that. Yeah. Let's see. Coming in here. We got viewers. John Bart 101, who is actually John. Oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I know him. The reason why I guess Germany is because on the 25th anniversary, Bauer Sox is his last name. The reason why I guess Germany was because on the Star Trek 25th anniversary VHS tape had a section on how big Star Trek was in Germany. So I had that to guess. Yeah. And here we have, this is Jano. My Graham's cousin was into genealogy. I have 7 binders, 2.5 inches each of all of the La Friends, Salmon, Fleischer family. Haven't finished reading it all yet. Wow, man, I envy you. John, again, my family's from a journey, but my dad would know more than I would. It's time to ask him. He won't be here forever. Yeah.
From what part of Germany is he, the daddy of John?
Right. I'm second generation. My mom, and it was so funny because my mom grew up with her mom, obviously, and it wasn't until she got she heard her mother on the phone for the first time at about 17 years old, and she said, "Oh, I couldn't believe she had an accent." She had never been able to hear it before, and other people had said, "My gosh, I can hardly understand your grandmother." And she goes, "Why can't you understand my grandmother?" She didn't understand why she couldn't. And then she heard her on the phone, and it was like, holy cow. That's my mother. For some reason, she could hear it on the phone, but she couldn't see. And here we have Space Dancer. Now, this is new. Who's Space Dancer? Please tell us who you are and where you hail from, because we've not heard from you before. Anyone got Austrian ancestry, or is it all German? I don't know. Beyond what I told you already.
As far as I know, no.
Yeah. Space Dancer, who are you? Where are you in the world? We have one person on my Facebook page, which I probably ought to go look at for a second, and a lot of people from NDB Media. So if you're on my Facebook page, please come to the Twitch, scroll up. I think it's one of the first things on my that gives you the link to come here so we can interact. I'm Austrian. So you're in Austria. What's your name? And how did you find out about this podcast? Did you hear about it from Thorsten or from me? We're definitely an enterprise person. Space Dancer 1701. So,
Space Dancer, do I know you?
Yes. Do we know you? What is your name?
Found it on Facebook.
Hannah's roots come from Oberammergau.
Oberammergau. That's in the Bavarian area.
Famous for the Passion Play. Maybe that's why we are theater people.
I didn't even know that.
Well, see how
they have the Passion Play that's very famous all over Europe, and I believe in parts of America too. They play the Passion story every 3 or 4 years. I cannot tell exactly. It's not every year. It's only every 2 or 3 years, as far as I know.
Do people come from all over the world to see it?
I think so. I think so. I've never been there. I would go there.
Okay, Space Dancer says, I read your book years ago. We still don't know the name, do we? Gaby or Gabby?
Gabby.
She says she doesn't know, or he, I guess this is a she. says she doesn't know us personally.
Okay. So hi, Gabi.
Yeah, hi. Did Dee like to travel? Sometimes it can be really hard, especially if you have to go overseas. I think he liked it. He also loved coming home. He loved his home, but he did an awful lot of traveling. He went to Australia at one point. He wanted to go to Germany. In fact, he was invited by J.G. Hertzler to come to Germany to a convention, but he was ill at the time. And he dictated a letter to me about, well, what J.G. Hertzler wrote to him and said, you know, it never occurred to me before, but somebody at a convention asked me once who my favorite Star Trek character was, and boom, just like that, I knew it was you. It was Dr. McCoy. And of course, that touched Dee like nobody's business. And he said, I'd love to have you come to a convention with me in Germany sometime. And he was already laid up in the hospital at that point, which Hertzler didn't know. So Dee dictated a letter for me to send back to him and let him know that he would have loved to do that. And then for the rest of his life, he said, oh, Kris, if I was in any better shape, you and I would be in Germany right now. And he just was really, really, really regretful that he wasn't well enough to do that. Apparently, he didn't mind going overseas because he sure wanted to do that. And he had gone to Australia. I think he was at one point, he was supposed to choose Africa or Australia, I think, for one of the Star Trek junkets, and he chose Australia. I wonder if you requested DNA from it. I have not done that yet. I've been really, really seriously thinking about requesting a DNA test from Ancestry or 23andMe. I have really thought about that. This is Roger. This is the gentleman who taught me the ropes here. And Roger, if you want to come on as a co-host, jump on. I do know he just finished a sports show, so he might be wiped out. And he's also doing taxes this time of year, so he might be wiped out. But if he wants to join us, we'd love to have you, Roger. Graham always spoke at the Passion Play.
Yeah, it's very famous. It's very famous. It must be a big, 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 big thing.
Uh-huh.
I saw recordings of it. There are some on YouTube, I believe. If you type Oberammergau Passionsspiele, I suppose you will find stuff about it.
Okay.
Oberammergau Passionsspiele, I suppose you will find stuff about it.
Okay.
I could write it down here if you want me to. Just a second.
There's Roger. Roger!
Morning.
How you doing? He taught me my ropes, so if I'm messing up, it's not his fault. We've been doing this for about 5 weeks, and I'm just really comfortable now after 5 weeks. So, yeah. Thank you, Roger. You did a really, really good job.
It's you. You wanted to do it, and I was able to practice with you, and I was going to do the first episode with you, but tax season hit as of January 1st, basically.
Yes.
So
Roger, meet Thorsten Walsh. He is the
Roger
of my book in Germany.
Good afternoon.
And you know Hannah, right? You were on with Hannah before.
No.
Oh, Hannah. This is Roger Noriega.
Hi, Roger.
Thorsten. How are you guys? I'm just here. I'm at my desk. I am an hour before my next clients, and I'm doing work. And I said, "Oh my God, I can finally listen into an episode." And that's why I was here. And you were talking about the ancestry. As you know, I had an episode on ancestry when I did my DNA, and it was absolutely enlightening. And I love it. It's me. It's who I am.
Whoa, that is so cool. Jackie did it. My sister did it, and she lost the password. I got to read it one time, and about the only thing I can remember is I know we're European, and we're also part like 0.8 or 8% or 0.8% Ashkenazi Jew.
Oh, yeah, I'm 1% as well.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to put what Thorsten put up here. That's where to go to see the Passion Play on at YouTube, or is that just the name of? That's what to look for on YouTube if you want to see.
That's what to look for, and you will find it. There is an S missing after the N. In Passionsspiele, there has to be another S.
Okay, well, I will edit that. I can do that. Oopsie. Nope, that's not it. I just love this thing. I don't know why it always.
No. After the N. Passions.
Oh.
Spiele.
At Passion S.
Passion and 2 S. I only wrote 1, and it has to be written with 2 S. Passionsspiele.
Okay, let me try this again. So you want 2 S's there. Like that?
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
Look for that and you find the Passionsspiele Oberammergau. I don't think they have a complete play, but there are scenes from it. I believe it was on YouTube where I saw it. As I said, I haven't been there in person. I would love to, but it wasn't. I didn't make it at the moment.
Okay, let's see. This is Hannah's mom. During the Black Players, the people of, however you say that, prayed that
she has it right under there. She meant plague. During the Black Plague.
During the Black Plague, the people of that prayed that if their town was spared, they would perform the Passion Play every 10 years. So it's every 10 years.
I believe it's more like 10. It's not 10 years at the moment. It's 3 or 4 years, but I may be mistaken.
Possibly that's because it became so popular.
Yeah. I think it's not only every 10 years.
Did he ever have any crazy interactions with fans? Some fans can really get carried away.
I assume they mean with fans other than you.
Yes, other than Crazy Kris.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Other than the one he told about his favorite fan letter was from a person who had included a joint, a marijuana joint, and said, "You have turned me on so many times during your career. I thought I would return the favor." And he kept that. He kept that joint and that letter. He just thought that was hysterical.
I always wanted to ask him if he had it, the joint.
He did not, because I saw it. Yeah.
I know the video when he tells about it, and that was my very first question when I saw that video first. Did you smoke it or didn't you? Because he said I kept that one. Yeah,
he did.
You kept it for how long? For 2 hours?
Interestingly enough, when he was in the hospital, he was given Marinol, which is a derivative, medical derivative of marijuana, to keep his comfort level good. So that's the only marijuana he ever had. It was whatever was prescribed to him by the doctor to keep him comfortable while he had cancer. But he didn't imbibe in that way. He said, "I sure used to toss him back when I was younger, as far as drinking and stuff." And he knocked that off in later years. Yeah. But, that was just part of the culture, so much a part of the culture back then. So let's see. Was there more? Hannah, do you have any questions or comments?
Not really.
How about a joy session? We always have this little segment called Joyride. Does anybody have any? My joy is that my book is being published in German. So that's my joy for this week. And we are doing a pretty good show on that. But do you have any joy you wanted to share other than that, Thorsten or Hannah or Roger?
No, the book is my joy as well at the moment. And as I already told, I finished another translation today, which I am not allowed to talk about at the
Yet.
moment, but I finished another translation. I even translated more in the last month than I wrote.
Wow.
I
Do you
tried.
have a website, Thorsten, where people can get your books? Or
No. My books and just until one. My books are published by In Farbe und Bunt, Verlag In Farbe und Bunt, Björn Sülter.
uh-huh.
And at that point, I wanted to thank Björn again for the opportunity to publish all of my books. They are not all only my books. I wrote 2 books together with Björn and friend and colleague Reinhard Prahl. And I wrote another one just with Reinhard Prahl, and now we will start working on another book, Reinhard Prahl and me.
Do you
And
have
at
a
the same time,
URL?
we will write a book, the 3 of us again.
Do you have a URL where you can that you can put on in the private chat that I can put up here for people to go and find your books, or the D book?
No, I do not, but people can contact me on Facebook if they like to.
Okay.
Via the Facebook manager, messenger, not manager, messenger, Facebook
Okay.
messenger.
Okay.
I'm there as Thorsten Walch, Thorsten Walch. If you have any questions about my books, you can contact me via Facebook Messenger.
I'm going to put that up there. That is our guest.
And if anybody of you wants to get in contact with me, just write to that name. I do not know if there are more like one Thorsten Walch in Germany. I cannot tell.
Uh-huh.
None that I knew of, but it's not impossible.
Okay.
But you know what I look like now, and I think you can see my picture then.
I will actually show. I'm gonna go and get your picture right now. You've got one of the coolest pictures. If I can find the place in this thing to put it, there we go. I don't know why I didn't do this before. I guess because it was already up on Facebook. There we go. How's that for a cool picture? Wait a minute, it's uploading. It takes a second. Okay. Is that cool or what? That is very cool.
It is said there is a famous Italian actor named Bud Spencer. He has this English name, but he was Italian. His real name was Carlo Pedersoli. And as an actor, he named himself Bud Spencer. And they made movies where they fought all the time, like whoosh, whoosh, and stuff like this. And many people said I look like him on that picture.
You do. You do.
Do you know Bud Spencer?
That's I've seen that photo before I saw you. I don't know where I've seen it, but that's probably where I saw it before. Or something like it. Yeah, because I went, I recognize that image. So, before I knew you. I mean, when I saw that, I thought, I feel like I know that person. So that's probably what happened. Yeah. You look like an actor. That's a great headshot. So all 3 of us who are here today, all 4 of us who are here today, I guess I'll put that down.
There is one thing, I don't have an URL, but maybe you could write down the email address of the editor, where people can get my books, can get the DeForest Kelley book, and all of the other great books the editor brought out. It's www. EFFERVESCENT, IFFERVESCENT.com.
All righty. I will do this and see if I did it right, and you can tell me if I did.
Yeah, it's absolutely right.
All right.
All of you can look there for my books, the books I did together with Chief Editor Björn Sülter and Reinhard Prahl. And there are so many interesting books, most of them in German. There are 2 in Klingon.
Whoa!
Klingon. There is a Klingon edition of The Little Prince by Saint-Exupéry. And there is a Klingon edition of Alice in Wonderland.
Wow.
I do not know if it is Alice in Wonderland or Alice Behind the Mirrors. I believe the first one. That there is a Klingon edition of that at EFFERVESCENT.com.
Wow.
All the other great books there. I interviewed you last year for the Star Trek Chronicles Volume 2.
Yes.
Star Trek Chronicles are there, and the Long Live Star Trek by Björn Sülter, Long Live Star Wars by myself, Long Live Captain Future. Captain Future is a Japanese science fiction animation show I wrote about together with friend and colleague Reinhard Prahl. You can find all those great books there.
Okay. After dealing with Leonard Nimoy and Bill Shatner, he probably needed that joint. All right. This is all great information. Thank you for that. Roger, did you have any? You want to jump in here with anything at all?
I'm enjoying the conversation. I'm a bit behind, so
Uh-huh.
I'm just enjoying the conversation. Thank you.
So are you working and listening? Or is this a working appearance?
Slowly.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Okay. Hannah, did you have any Joyride thing to speak about for this week?
Yeah. A cousin who I was very close with. We haven't seen each other since the start of this pandemic, and a little before that, we finally were able to get together and just hang out. We went and saw the Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, and then we went out to Chili's.
All right.
So,
And you
yeah.
went in and you did a Harry Potter thing the week before, right? Or a couple weeks
I
before
did
that?
2 weeks before. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
The Batman, that one was great, wasn't it? I saw it with Sabine, with my wife, the other week.
Yeah.
It's such a great movie. Such a great movie. I was most impressed by the Penguin. That was Colin Farrell, a good-looking man normally,
I know.
and what he looked like in the Batman. He was like,
Makeup.
I know.
makeup.
He was probably the best actor in that entire movie, and he didn't have a lead or anything. He had a supporting role.
Yeah, all of them were great. All of them were great. I love that movie. It was so. I don't know. It wasn't like all of these other superhero movies with their colored dresses and stuff. That one was just dark.
Yeah.
It was dark, and it was like film noir. I love film noir. DeForest Kelley was in a film noir in Fear in the Night.
Yes.
I love that kind of movies, and that's the way the Batman was.
Wow. I'll have to go see it. I generally don't watch stuff like that, but I will definitely go look at it now that I hear 2 reviews. Did G like the pajamas from Star Trek: The Motion Picture? Yeah, well, no, he did not. Although he said during the first show, during the TV series, the first time they came out in that outfit they had there. He said, "Do you like my jammies?" And of course, now there are Star Trek pajamas that you can wear to bed. So, yeah, that's pretty funny. All righty. Well, we've been here for, let's see, 10, 30, 11, about 45 minutes. Did anybody else have anything else you want to ask questions of, or bring to the table? I told you that I thought I was related to the Brothers Grimm. I think I've told you all my German-related stories. So I'm just trying to think if there's, oh, I know. A few weeks ago, we had a discussion about, Hannah, did we ever show the photos of Dee and Carolyn doing the birdie and kitty thing? Was that?
No, we did not.
All right. Well, I finally found the pictures when we set up a date with Bill Dow to take portraits of Dee and Carolyn, because they'd never had it done before. They didn't think that was that important because they didn't have kids. And I said, well, a lot of other people would like to see pictures of you too, you know. And so we actually had a lot of the photos, some of which I think will be in the new book. We had some really, really nice pictures like this taken at that time. But during this photo shoot, Bill Dow apologized to the Kellys and said, you know, I have to tell you, I am actually an animal photographer. I take pictures of the wild cats at Shambhala, and I take pictures of dogs and cats for people. I'm not a human photographer. And Dee said, that's no problem. And he started barking, and Carolyn started meowing, and it was just absolutely hysterical. So I grabbed the toys that were in Bill's bag of tricks, and I started squeaking them and going, here you go, come on, Dee, come on, Dee, come on, Dee, come on, Carolyn. And they were cracking up, as you can see. We were absolutely cracking up at that and, you know, playing along. And so these are photos that you have probably have never seen before, but this is them cracking up at me, at my antics with the, you know, Doggy Dee and Kitty Carolyn thing going on. And then I had another thing that I wanted to put in here, I'm pretty sure. Did I ever show you this picture of Dee picking lemons in his backyard? I gotta show you another thing. I know I put it in here. Where is it? If I can't find it real quick, I'm just going to go grab it again real quick. Yep, I can't. So I'm just going to go grab it again real quick. Dee had grown a lemon that was on steroids. And he put it in a bag. He put it in a bag to me, in a brown paper bag to me, and sent it to me. And this, it's uploading. It's uploading. Hang in there. Oh my goodness, it must be a large file. Come on. You can do it. Whoa, you've got a lot. Okay, I've got to take something away. I have 100 photos here. That's why it was taking a lot. Okay.
Did they like lemons, I guess?
Well, he had a lemon tree in his backyard, and we were getting lemons all the time because he had a lot of lemons. And he had oranges too. Let's see. Okay, now it's going to upload, I think. There we go. Here is what he sent me, a lemon. My latest experiment with growing organic lemons. Look how big that thing is in my hand. That's incredible. It was like a cantaloupe. It was like a, I don't know what it was like, you know. I said, what did you
almost the size of a football.
Yeah, I joked and I said, what kind of fertilizer did you use? Did you pee on the tree? It was hysterical. Anyhow, I couldn't believe it. I don't know how much was actual lemon and how much was peel. I don't remember. One time because of the lemon thing, one time when we went to a convention, Cat Lane and I had him sign his name on lemons. And then all the way home we were going, how do you preserve a lemon with a lemon signature? We tried and tried, but it degraded and went bye-bye. Roger went bye-bye.
Is that a pun? It degraded?
It degraded, yes, it degraded, yeah.
What did you do with that lemon? It looks
I have-
like as if it would have made many DeForest Kelly drinks.
It certainly would have. Yeah, yeah. Vodka and water with a twist of lemon. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember what I did with it. All I remember is I had fun taking a picture of it and putting it on the sack, the DeFarmer instead of DeForest. Organic lemons, yeah. Anywho, private chat. Roger will be back soon. I've seen those photos before. Aha. Oh, I don't know where. Oh, probably on my probably in my blog. Okay. Cat 8 is new. Who are you? I listened to your talk 2 weeks ago as well. Gabby is the one who sent me the link. Finnegan Cat, who are you and where are you from? Welcome. John. Yeah, Anthony Elgin yesterday would have turned 33 years old. Gone way too soon. Yeah, that was such a tragedy.
Sad thing.
Yeah, that was really just a shocker. Let's see, who else have we got here? Everybody's on from NDB Media now, so whoever was on my page probably came over to here. Who's Finnegan Cat 8? We haven't seen Cookie Spear,
Cookie Sword.
Cookie Sword. Cookie Sword usually comes there all the time, and Golden Spike from Utah. Golden Spike in Utah, who is Ross Trowbridge, has a farm with, a ranch with lots and lots of animals. Someday we want to get him on here and show us his wild horses and his wild burros and everybody he's got. But he's not here today, so I'm missing some people. We're missing some people, but not everybody is available on Saturdays. So
It's true.
Thorsten, I want to thank you so much for coming on here. It's like 7 o'clock your time, isn't it now? 4, 5, 6 o'clock, close to 6.
It's 9:30 almost.
Oh my, it's really late.
It's not that late. It's Saturday. I can sleep in tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, I sure thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed translating it. It would have been a pain if you didn't.
I just told the other day to somebody on Facebook, it was one of the most emotional things I ever did, because your book touched me in so many ways. First, when you told about your mom's passing, when your mom got sick, I've been through the same thing. My mom was sick with breast cancer, and most of what you told about, I've been through too.
Mm-hmm.
And the end, when DeForest gets sick, it was so emotional for me. It's one thing if you just read it, and it's another thing if you have to find words for it in German. And it was so emotional, but it was a really great thing to do. It is one of my dream projects. I always dreamt of writing a book about the classic Star Trek series. I did this together with Björn and Reinhard. It's the second Star Trek Chronicle. I always dreamt about writing a book of Star Wars because I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well. I did that.
Yeah.
It's published at EFFERVESCENT, and I dreamt about translating your book. When the first editor broke down 20 years ago, I swore to myself, you will bring out this book in German, because this book deserves to be in German edition. And I did it.
Thank you. That's just, and I'm so glad it was you.
So am I. No, we've been in contact all of these years, and I was looking for another editor, and I could never find one because
And that was why.
there
It
were
had to be
times
good.
in Germany when it was very hard to publish books. And then I came to know Björn, and we worked on some projects together. Thanks again to Björn, as far as I haven't said that already. And I think it was shortly after I ended working on the Star Trek Chronicles when I asked him, Björn, what would you think about a German version of Harvest of Memories? And he said, "Do you have one?" I said, "No, not yet. I, I could make one, not yet. I don't have it right yet, but I will have." And here we are. It will be published shortly before FedCon, which is the greatest German convention.
Mm-hmm. So
A very
it'll be on the stand. It'll be on your table there.
the greatest. I don't know if it is the greatest, but it is the most famous.
I think that's what J.G. Hertzler wanted to take D to.
No, I wanted to say that when you told it. No, J.G. Hertzler wanted to take D to the Galileo 7 convention at Berlin. I've been there. I've been on that convention, the one on which D would have been if he was able to. And there was the convention was held about 3 or 4 months after D died.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a huge memorial on screen. And I stood there and I felt so don't ask me further.
Yeah.
They had put together scenes from Star Trek and scenes from interviews Dee was on, and that's what they did on that convention. I met JG there. I met him several times. Him and Robert O'Reilly. They are great. They're really great.
Did you ever see the one that Paramount did of D, the memorial that Paramount did of D? It's on YouTube, and I think it's called A Final Farewell to Forrest Kelly, and it also incorporates some of his cowboy roles.
I know it is there, but I haven't watched it now.
It's really great.
Because I'm going to watch it now.
It's hard, isn't it?
I was always scared to watch it.
I know. I
was always scared to watch it. I know that it is there.
I can't tell you how many years it was before I could turn on a DeForest Kelly, TV show or movie after he passed away. It was like, I just can't do this. I just can't do this right now. Because the loss will be there in front of my face. But it's really a very touching, really great. I don't think it'll depress you at all. I wish he had been there to see it. Because
I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Maybe later on, if I believe Sabine is hearing what we're saying, and I think she's going to beg me to watch it.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I saw it about 3 times shortly after he passed because I was going to these various places and accepting awards posthumously in his behalf. I got the Golden Boot in his behalf and the Gene Roddenberry Award in his behalf, and they almost always got permission from Paramount to show this 12-minute segment because it was so delicious. All of the people who had worked with him and sat on the sidelines with him when he was doing movies and stuff, they just told little anecdotes about what a kind, generous human being he was. And it's a glorious tribute. Like I say, I wish Dee could see it. Because they asked him, Dan Madsen asked him one time, he said, how would you like to be remembered? And he said, well, first of all, I hope people will remember. There's nothing deader than a dead actor. And in most cases, I suppose that's true, but I don't think he realized the icon that Star Trek became. I mean, he did realize it, but I don't think he necessarily considered them. He was just like they said in the memorial, he was just glad to be at the party. He didn't consider himself, all that. He just was glad to be at the party, and he always, that was one of the neatest things about him. He was so down to earth, and so you never felt like he put himself people tried to put him on a pedestal, and he kept knocking the pedestal out. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm just me, and that was one of the most endearing things about him. You never felt like, at first, the first time when you first meet him, you're nervous as all get out, you think, oh my God, but very quickly he settled you down and let you realize, no, we're just all in this together. I love you. You're beloved. There's nothing you can do to, make me not love you. So let's just relax. And he was wonderful that way.
There's one thing I wanted to ask you, and that's, did you stay in touch with Carolyn?
I did. I served her for another, let's see, June, July, about another 7 or 8 months. And then she got to a point where her needs were something that a lay person like me, I didn't have the training to do the kind of help that she needed. And so I helped her, we found her a wonderful person who had, if you can believe it, had gone through the same sort of thing with Betty Davis, who was a real hard person to get along with. She was a Black Jamaican lady named Amy Kelly, spelled the same way. She had purple eyes. She was just an enigmatic person. And she was so delicious and so delightful. And she kept me informed after I moved of what was going on with Carolyn and stuff. So, yeah, Carolyn lived another 5 years beyond Dee, but she never did go back home. I guess she went back home at one point, not with Amy, before Amy came on. And she got bed sores and things started disappearing out of her house. And she ended up going back to the motion picture home. And that's when the folks found Amy for her, and she was delightful and with her to the end of her life. And she kept me informed of what was happening there. So Carolyn became very, very childlike later on, and she began to have visions of seeing Dee again, like she knew she was transitioning, and she was very, very angry after Dee passed away. Obviously, Dee was her whole life. She loved dogs, she loved critters, and she loved Dee. And that was, she had a very narrow, set of interests. And she was really, really angry after Dee died. And, but as time passed, Amy got her out of the building and took her down to meet her friends from Long Beach and made her do all the things that I couldn't get her to do. I couldn't blast her out of that place with dynamite. She just would not go anywhere. And I understand, she was grieving, but Amy got her underway out the doors, down visiting with her friends and relatives. And then she said toward the end of her life, she started to, say, I just spoke with Dee last night and stuff like that. And then she passed peacefully. So that's what I know about their turtle. I know a lot of people ask me what happened to their turtle.
That would have been my next question. What happened to Myrtle?
Myrtle went across the street, kitty corner across the street from where they lived, to a lady who said she would contact me if she ever needed to find Myrtle a home. Myrtle was about 70 at the time. So, and she has my contact, and she can contact me if anything. So either Myrtle has died, or, they're still keeping her there, because I'm supposed to be notified if Myrtle needs a new home. And I haven't been notified of anything. So
how old do they get? Desert
turtles can live 135, 140. Desert tortoises, they can live a long time. Yeah. But the one thing you don't want to do is remove them from their environment, from their habitat, and going across the street was the absolute best solution for her. She didn't have to change a thing. They just turned her loose in somebody else's yard. So that nothing had to change. It can be pretty traumatic to a turtle to end up in a tank somewhere, or in the Pacific Northwest where it's humid and rainy. I mean, it just would not have worked. So she went to the absolute best home for a desert tortoise that she could have gone to.
So she's maybe well right now.
She is, as far as I know, she is, or she's passed away, and they didn't tell me that. But yeah. Anyhow, Dee and Carolyn said we always wanted to have something around here that was older than we are. Leonard Nimoy got a turtle the same time. Whoever got them their turtles, Leonard got one at the same time, but his didn't live. I never heard anything more about that, and I don't even know how they got this turtle. But I do know they both got desert tortoises at the same time. Yeah. I have all these loose ends, sometimes people ask me something. Usually I can answer a question, and sometimes they go, oh my gosh, I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah. Like, where did the turtle come from? I don't know. I never asked.
Yeah, maybe it's been there when they bought the house. It's possible.
I don't think so. No, they got them when they were doing the original Star Trek. And I don't know how, because both Leonard and Dee got them at the same time. And I don't know if they were illegal at that time, but later on, you're not supposed to have desert tortoises as a pet. So, yeah, I don't know how they grandfathered that in or whatever.
I always thought if she went over to Don, but Don died too, didn't he?
Don Catherwood, the next door neighbor.
The neighbor.
Yes, Don Catherwood passed away, I want to say a couple years before Carolyn did. Oh, and by the way, their home in Sherman Oaks was torn down, and they put up a big McMansion in its place. So about the only place you can see it still are pictures. I have some on my Facebook page of what their house looked like. I actually have the blueprints. I asked them, I said, that was the only house I ever walked into in my life that I said, oh my God, I feel immediately at home. It was just an incredibly comfortable and welcoming place. Not because they were there, but because of the way it was laid out. And I asked them if I could get copies of the blueprints, and they actually gave them to me. And someday, I keep saying, if I move to Costa Rica or whatever, and I have a plot of land, I'm going to build that house again, because it broke my heart when it was torn down. I thought that thing should be a museum, make it a DeForest Kelley museum. And
of course, why didn't they do that?
I don't know. They could have made a megabucks, but they didn't. They tore it down. And it broke my heart. I never went by again. I mean, I just no. I can't even imagine it not being there. It was just a gorgeous, gorgeous land. Had a big, big backyard. Dee had at least, I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think he had at least 70 rose bushes in the front of and behind his house, plus this huge yard, huge lawn area. He had a brick, outdoor place where he could barbecue or whatever. It was just, and there was a big cement sculpture of St. Francis, because they were animal lovers. When Bill Shatner bought a house, Bill Shatner and Leonard Nimoy are both Jewish. And when Bill Shatner bought a house, it had this huge, probably a 4 or 5 foot tall sculpture of St. Francis in the back. And he said, Dee, do you want this sculpture of St. Francis? And he said, absolutely. Absolutely, I want it. So Dee went over and tried to pick it up, and it was made of concrete. It was concrete. And I guess, he was lugging it out and said, would you like some help with that? And he said, no, I can get it. And he lugged it out of there. And he had me rock it. He had me just go over and rock it. And I mean, that sucker weighed 200 pounds if it weighed an ounce, And he said, I used to be pretty strong. I said, I know, you used to arm wrestle me or bump me. And he felt solid as a brick. For as slight a guy as he was really, really well. But of course, he worked on oil rigs and stuff as a young man.
And he must have been in his 60s when that happened, when
right.
he brought the statue.
Right. He couldn't have done it, when I ended up coming in and helping him. No, he was really frail and very underweight.
I turned 55 by the end of the year, and I'm not sure if I could do that. I read about it in your book. I thought,
It was amazing. I just went, wow, and I joked with him. I said, oh, don't worry. Forget the crane. I can handle it. I mean, he did. He just arm wrestled it out of there. But I was amazed. I was completely amazed. And I'm strong. I grew up baling hay. I'm no wimp myself.
I am strong too, but I have problems with my back. I must never try a thing like that.
Yeah.
Could be fatal if I did.
Oh no,
my wife will kill me when I lift a box of beer or something like that. You must not. The doctor told you shouldn't to.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then she's carrying the boxes all over the street, and I walk beside her. I said, well, "What are people? What do the people think?" And she
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No, do what's right. Do what's right for you. Yeah. I long ago stopped worrying about what people thought of me, or what they were, what stories they were making up about me. Because, like, hey, you know what? Let them have their fantasy.
So do I.
Yeah, the older you get, the less you care.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let them say he's nuts. Maybe I am.
Let me see. I'm going to scroll down here. I have eight comments coming in. Let me go. Finnegan Cat says, I am from frozen northern Illinois. Okay, this means good something.
This is guten Abend. That's good evening in German.
What does that say?
Good evening.
Oh, okay.
That's good evening. And it's pronounced absolutely right.
Okay. I know Guten Morgen. I know I know Warp Geschwindigkeit jetzt. That's warp speed now in German, folks. I learned that 20 years ago and I never forgot it. Warp speed now. Except I probably mispronounced it.
No, Warp Geschwindigkeit jetzt is absolutely right.
All right. And I know Verboten, and I know kindergarten. And I know Mein Gott in Himmel. My grandma often said, Mein Gott in Himmel. My God in heaven. Well, yeah, I don't know that much German. Gesundheit.
Bless you. Gesundheit. Bless you.
Didn't know that Germany and Austria were in different time zones. It's only 8:30 in Vienna. Well, we're learning geography too here.
No, they're not in. We have 8:42 here.
Ah.
And that's
the same time zone.
That's the same time.
Okay. No matter what happened to D, he always remained a little demented. Yes, he did. He was a fun, sassy guy. It's on the second disc of Star Trek VI. Oh, is it? Is his memorial thing on the second disc of Star Trek VI? Is that what you're talking about, John? Delicious. I see what you did there. I must be behind the times. I don't remember. It's hard to grieve when you have a long relationship with D, so I can understand why Carolyn felt like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally understood that. There used to be a virtual website. That is true. They finally took it down, the realtor. Yeah. Yes, I am his memorial.
Ah. So
we are all his memorial. Those of us.
So I probably have it on disc because I have all the Star Trek stuff on Blu-ray disc.
Ah. Okay.
I have
it's really wonderful.
And I have lots of other D films besides Star Trek on DVD.
I do
His
too.
Bonanza appearances and his appearance in Josh and Where Love Has Gone. I love that
Yes.
movie, Where
Yes.
Love Has Gone. That's my favorite movie with D besides Star Trek. Followed by Raintree County.
I love Raintree County too. He isn't in it much, but oh my gosh, what a wonderful 12 minutes or so he's got there.
Yeah, in the end, as the very honorable gentleman. He was an enemy, but he was honorable. He was not a bad guy.
And he said
He tried to escape, but he tried it in a way a gentleman would do.
Right. He said he was always very proud of that film because actually, even though that thing is about the Civil War, he's the only Southern officer shown in that film. And he's got quite a great role in it. He gets shot off a horse, and Lee Marvin and he are, sparring as to find out who's going to try to survive their little encounter. He's injured and he's getting, shepherded through these various, places. And if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you anymore. You need to see it. It's really, really good.
Absolutely.
And very interestingly enough, he never met Elizabeth Taylor during the filming of that movie, even though she was the star, because they're all in different locations shooting different shots. And she didn't have a scene with him. So during the 75th anniversary of Star Trek, the Paramount folks got together 75 of the biggest stars of the 75 years, and they all drew numbers to find out who was going to stand next to who, because they didn't want it to be a big ego trip. And as it turned out, Dee ended up standing next to an officer and gentleman, Tom Cruise.
No, Officer and Gentleman is Richard Gere.
No, not Richard Gere. I'm thinking Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is Top Gun.
Top Gun, that's what it was. He's standing next to Top Gun, and interestingly enough, Elizabeth Taylor is down, I believe, to his right or his left, a couple of chairs. So he leaned over to her and he said, Miss Taylor, I would like to introduce myself. I'm DeForest Kelley. And he said, I actually did a movie with you. And she goes, oh, dear. She says, you don't have to introduce me to you. I'm the biggest Trekkie in the world. So that really made his day. I'm the biggest Trekkie in the world. You don't have to introduce yourself to me. Yeah.
I always have to think. I used to work with mentally disabled people, and with people with psychic problems. And we had an old lady. She was highly depressive, and she almost didn't talk, just single words, yes, no. And I used to show movies to the people in the facility where I work. And one day I showed Star Trek 4. And that lady, every time when Dee showed up, she smiled a little bit.
Oh.
And then I went over to her. Her name was Gretel, Margaret. Margaret. Gretel is a short form of Margaret in German. And I went over to her and I said, Gretel, do you like the movie? And she said, it's such a cute guy. She said that with a dreamy face. It was so sweet. Do you like him? Yes, he's such a sweet guy. Helping people in the hospital. He gave pills to that sick lady.
That was Dee. Dee brought a lot of Kelly to Dr. McCoy. Gene Roddenberry wanted Dr. McCoy to kind of be an H.L. Mencken, a real curmudgeonly, cynic. And Dee brought more of Kelly into it to make him into a likable curmudgeon, because otherwise I don't think it would have been the role that I don't think he would even have taken the role if he couldn't have done something like that with it. There's a lot of Kelly in McCoy, a lot of Kelly. The only thing is, I never saw Dee lose his temper or have a falling out in the way that he did with Spock or anybody else. You want to take a crack at it? He was so mellow and level. Even when he was upset, you almost couldn't tell. You really had to listen for it to find out that he was upset. He was so conscious of other people's feelings. And if he ever had to correct you or critique you or in any other way, you always felt like it was a blessing more than a critique or a criticism. He was really great. He was just great in that way.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You can see this when he's interviewed.
Yes, you can. But even when he's interviewed, he's, having known him, even when he's interviewed, he's not quite there yet. I mean, he's not quite D yet. He was nervous. I mean, he's a shy guy. And so he was, he still wasn't quite D. If you see any of it, if you guys ever come or get to see him in any conventions, after the first few minutes, after he's settled down and read his poem or whatever, and you see him interacting with the audience, he becomes D then. But interviews were not his strong suit. He answered the question, and he was very sweet and wonderful and insightful, but he wasn't, let me say, he wasn't relaxed. Because when he was relaxed, that's when you felt the magic of his spirit and the way he was. He was just so benevolent. He was just an incredible, incredible human being.
Hannah, did you meet him, the first Kelly?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. No, I didn't get to meet him. I was born in 96, so I was very young when he passed away. I wish I got a chance to, though.
96.
Yeah.
I wish I was your age again. I was your age again. Oh, what would I do? I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't do anything else as I did, but it would be great to relive it.
Wouldn't it be great to relive it knowing what you know now?
Yeah.
Because when you're young, you're not, you're testing the waters and you're not sure, if I do this, if I do this, and as you go along, you begin more to trust yourself and to say, no, this is where I need to go. I mean, as a spirit, this is where I need to go. This is what is going to make me happy. And when you're a kid, I wanted to be a writer from the time I was little, but Mom and Dad were scared to death for me. They thought I was going to starve to death. Because back then, there were 3 TV stations. Back then, there were maybe 20 magazines. I mean, and all of the writers were men, and it was like, what are you thinking? That just doesn't make sense. You need to get a real job, Well, they didn't know the internet was coming. They didn't know the information age was coming. They didn't know all of this stuff. And I had all of these teachers and DeForest and writers telling me, you're great, keep doing it, keep doing it. If I didn't have all of those yay sayers in my life to negate the scared people, they weren't naysayers, they were just scared for me. They were protecting me from my dreams. And as you get older, especially if you have encouragers and naysayers in your life, you begin to go, well, yeah, this is why I came here. This is why this is my passion. And you begin to follow that and you get happier and happier and you realize, but when you're young, it's all choppy water and you're not sure where to go and what to do. Same
thing here. Same story. Yeah. Same story. Absolutely the same. You have to be studied if you want to write, and people who write are very clever people. You don't have that cleverness, which is sorry for the word dipshit. I always had the cleverness. Right. I haven't studied. It didn't come to that. And now I know it wasn't necessary to become a writer. I did it
pretty much anything that floats your boat and gives you passion, and that can serve the world in a good, positive way. Don't let anybody stop you from going for that thing, because that is what your gifting is. If your passion is there and your gifting is there and it can benefit the world, don't listen to the naysayers. They're just afraid for you. They don't hate you, or they might be jealous of you. Some of them might be jealous. The ones who love you dearly are probably scared for you. That doesn't mean, they're afraid you won't succeed and that your heart will be broken. But don't let that stop you, because pretty soon, your mom and dad are going to be throwing their arms around you and saying, well, wow, you did it. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
My dad fought me for years, and then finally, oh my God, all he could talk about was, Kris is working in Hollywood, and and it's like, and he just kept saying, that's not, get your head out of the clouds, get your feet on the ground, get a real job. I did have real jobs all during that. And then after all during that, I said, now it's time to create my own prophecy and to decide who I want to be. Who do I want to end up?
Yeah,
I did most of my earlier stuff to make them feel comfortable that I could survive. Yes, I can be an executive secretary. Yes, I can do that. I can do that if I need to do that, but I don't need to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, my parents both passed away before any of my books came out. So
that's the same here. My last thing my mom saw was I made a special issue of a famous German TV magazine. There was a special issue about the series Farscape. I do not know if you ever saw it. It was kind of a weird show. I loved it, but it was a weird show about mercenaries on a living starship flying around. It was a show made by Henson Productions, the guys who brought the Muppets.
Henson, yeah, the Muppets,
And that was my first professional work, a special issue about that show that came to Germany at that time. That was what my mom saw. And I remember that she told her friends, haha, he wrote a whole magazine that's available at the supermarket. I saw it. It was lying there and people bought it.
Yes.
He did it. People read what he wrote.
Yes.
It wasn't long before she passed away. But at least she saw that.
My dad actually paid for my first edition. I was working at a print shop called Lakewood Printing at the time, and my dad actually paid for my very first published book, which was a book of poetry about animals called Let No Day Dawn That the Animals Cannot Share. I have since...
I ordered that one. It's on the way to me at the moment.
I added a section to it later that is prose, but most of it is poetry. And he actually paid to have that done. So he did get to the point where he thought, you're a pretty good writer, but he never did live long enough to see anything after that at all. He did live long enough, obviously, to meet Dean Carroll and realize I wasn't over the edge and absolutely nuts and, starstruck. They were able to meet them and sit down and have conversations with them. And then they agreed with me that they were a very, very, very special couple. And I was lucky to have them in my life. But my God, it was 20 years. They were saying, Kris, you are just out of your gourd. Nobody can be that great, And then after that, it was like, good Lord, don't even joke about one time when mom had the brain tumor. She said, I wish I had Dr. McCoy as my doctor. And I said, no, you don't. And she goes, why not? Because she'd met Dee by now. Okay. Why not? And I said, because his most famous line is, he's dead, Jim. And she went, well, if he had gotten to that person while they had a single spark of life in there, he would have saved him. And I'm like, Mother, you are doing what I was doing all of these years, extolling his virtues, and you weren't believing it until you met him. And now you are defending him to me. You don't need to defend him to me. And it's okay to joke about him, So I'm very, very glad they got to meet Dee and Carolyn and to know that I wasn't nuts.
These are great moments in the book when your parents meet Dee and Carolyn. I so enjoyed translating that.
Yeah. And the bit where mom has her surgery and her hair's coming in all different colors, and Dee puts on his Dr. McCoy role and tells her she's a beautiful woman. Oh my God. I can't even read that section in public without crying, because it's just
I can imagine.
Dee. Yeah.
I can imagine.
It was just astonishing. I just never loved him more than I did at that moment, because she was feeling so unlovely. She wore this turban on her head, or a really, really uncomfortable wig, because she said, if I go into the grocery store, babies cry. They're scared. They get scared of me. And, to have him say, yeah, it's time for your physical, and give her the head to toe with no wig on after she'd taken it off. You are a beautiful woman, Dorothea, and you're going to be just fine. Oh, if I could have been permission to cry at that moment, I would have, but no, this is great. Mom said, I don't know why he's worrying about me. I'm going to outlive you all. Yeah. 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 Well, we've been on here an hour and a half. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
Let's see now. That's a lovely story about Gretel. I'm way behind here. We've been telling stories. You swallow this and you'll need me just. That's the pill. Yeah. I remember Farscape. Yeah.
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 I love Farscape. It doesn't come near Star Trek. Of course not. Nothing comes near Star Trek. Farscape was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a Muppet figure named Dominar Rigel the 16th. He was a despotic alien king, and I love that Muppet creature. He was always eating, and he was kind of shy. There was a scene, another creature in that show. It was a blue-skinned woman who loved to run around naked. You didn't see her from the front. You always saw her back. And every time she showed up naked, the Dominar, the alien creature, went like, oh, he was kind of shy. I love that show. It was great. I have that on Blu-ray too. I have far too much Blu-rays.
Tell me a little bit. I'm having so much fun here. I hate to get off of here, but tell us a little bit about your Klingalaws, your Klingon stuff. Yeah, I mean, he's got a wonderful background.
Unfortunately, I cannot bring up an image up here because I don't know how to do it. How to bring images in here. The Klingolaus. In Germany, we have Nikolaus, Sankt Nikolaus,
yes,
who was a bishop from Myra in Turkey about 1,000 years ago, and I think you all know Sankt Nikolaus in one of the.
I know him as Santa Claus.
Santa Claus is some kind of also Santa Claus came later.
Right, correct.
Santa Nikolaus was first, and Santa Claus came later.
Correct.
But yeah, okay. Let's say Santa Claus. Some 25 years ago, I went. We had a Star Trek club where I live first in Hesse, and on one day we went to the Star Trek exhibition at Düsseldorf. There was a huge Star Trek exhibition in Düsseldorf where they showed all of the the stuff from the shows, and we went there with our club, and it was on Nikolaustag, St. Nicholas Day. It's on December 6th. And we were thinking about what could we do for the children. On the right, we chartered a bus, and we were thinking on what could we do for the children. There were children of the club members with us, and I had a Klingon costume by then, a wig and the forehead and the dress. And I said, okay, I'm going to buy a Nikolaus coat and put it over my Klingon dress, and I color my beard white. I wouldn't have to color my beard today, but then I needed to color my beard white, and then I give little gifts to the children at the bus, and I did that. And only a few days later, everybody asked, "Will you do that again next year?"
Oh wow!
And that was the moment when Klingolaus was born, the Klingon Santa Claus. I made up a background story about Klingolaus in Klingon history. He was an evil Klingon priest who was punished for his crimes by being the guy who brings the gift. And he got his own website. You can see that website. It hasn't been worked on a couple of years ago. It's www.klingolaus.de. KLINGOLAUS.de.
KLINGOLAUSDE. Okay, let's see this.
US.de. Yes, that's it. Absolutely.
You go there and you can see photos of you.
Pictures there. And I did this until the pandemia came. I haven't had a performance since the pandemia was on. But I'm going to return one day as the Klingon Santa Claus. My greatest success was on FedCon in, I believe it was 2004. Denise Crosby from Star Trek The Next Generation made Trekkies 2 there.
Yes.
There are the documentary movies Trekkies, in which Dee is interviewed for the last time, I believe. Was one of the last interviews with him. And there is a sequel, Trekkies 2, and I'm in that sequel as Klingolaus.
All right.
Running around and threatening Denise Crosby. Only naughty children are gifted by Klingolaus. Kapla! Something like that. It's just one scene, but I was very proud of it when it came.
Yeah.
It was screened in where I lived first in Hes. We had a screening of it in a little cinema when it came out, and the whole cinema was Klingolaus! There are so many other great fans in it, and I'm always telling that's my 11-second fame, because my scene is 11 seconds long. Better than nothing.
That's awesome.
I even went to conventions. I went to a convention where many Star Wars actors, the small actors who had small roles, and they showed up on stage and told, "Yeah, my name is this and that, and I was the rebel pilot in the scene of." And when they finished, I came up and said, "I'm Klingolaus. I'm 11 seconds in Trekkies 2."
I'm going to have to get Trekkies 2 now. I have Trekkies 1, but now I got to get Trekkies 2.
Yeah, they will bring it out on Blu-ray, as far as I heard. There will be Blu-ray versions of it. I'm such a nerd with my Blu-ray stuff.
I don't have Blu-ray yet.
Oh, you should get. Dee looks so great in the. I even have the 4K discs of Star Trek 1 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
There are no more yet.
Yeah.
It looks so great.
Wow.
I got it for my birthday last year, and I watched it even on my birthday, and I said, "Look, Sabina, this is DeForest." And she said, "Yes, I know the movie. I saw it about 100 times or so."
But not like this.
No, not like this. Not in that kind of quality. Yeah, it's
Wow.
great. It's
Wow.
great.
Well, now I suppose I gotta look that up. Okay. Well, oh, we got some comments. Let me see if we got some more comments here. We got many smiles about Klingelaus. Awesome picture of you as Klingelaus there. All right.
Applause, space dancer.
Well, this has just been so much fun. Can we do it again sometime?
Of course, of course.
Maybe we'll do it
I'd
when
love to.
maybe we'll do it again in June when it comes out.
Of course.
I would love to.
We're in contact anyway. Just call on me and I'll be there.
Awesome. And see if you can get Bjorn to either come with you at the same time or separately at some point when he wants to, if he wants to.
I'm going to ask him. As I said, he says hello, and sorry that he cannot be here.
And say hello right back to him from Hannah and me.
I will.
And all of us who missed him, seeing him this time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and close off because there are no more comments. And it looks like everybody's looking forward to the next one. So I'll sign up for now. If you two, Thorsten and Hannah, will stay on for a second after we close, and we'll share a little parting time, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. If you enjoyed this, please share it. Share it with the DeForest Kelley fans, Klingon fans in your life. And we'll see you next time. 2 weeks from now, 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, same station. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.